you're making that video, and all of a sudden, oh, price changes. What's going to happen? So we collect the feed, and as soon as the data is switched there, it automatically re-renders the video. So it's all completely hands off. You have everything.
Welcome to the Strategy with Jason podcast. Tune in for everything you need to know to stay in the know regarding the automotive industry. Here's your host, Jason Harris.
Hey, what's going on, Podcast Nation? It's Jason Harris here, and thank you for joining me on another episode of The Drive. I'm in Lexington, Kentucky. I know, not where I normally am, but hey, I'm in Lexington, Kentucky at the Kain Auto event, and I got Nick from Phyron AI. Did I say it right?
Yep.
I did, yes. Guys, I had to practice it. But I am so excited to jam with Nick, man. Thanks for taking the time to come hang with me.
Absolutely.
It's a rainy day, but that's okay. We're not going to let it rain on our parade. We're going to take a drive, and we're going to talk about some really cool creative solutions that you guys have been putting together. And anytime I get to talk about marketing strategies and creative strategies and audience strategies, I'm always in for it. But before we get into that, all right, I love kicking off these podcasts with a little origin story, Nick, because honestly, I'm just fascinated myself, because like, who wakes up one day and goes, yeah, that's the industry I'm going to go spend a lot of time in. So, Nick, how did you get started in this crazy little world we call the automotive industry?
Yeah, well, funny enough, I think I fit into the same bucket as a lot of people that I've spoken to recently within the last 48 hours, is that they kind of fell into the industry.
Yep.
And I was just really floored with the tech that's being built within this company, and it happens to be that the automotive industry is a key focus. Mm-hmm. And we've attempted with 3 different industry verticals, and automotive was just basically a very quick product to market fit. And we said, okay, this makes a lot of sense. Let's just keep rolling with this and have a full focus on automotive.
So you got bit by the automotive bug.
Yeah.
Now I'm curious, because a lot of cool verticals to go into. What specifically about that automotive that was like, yeah, that's where we should go?
Yeah, what we see is that what I understood also from other professionals within the media space, saying that visuals was always kind of a thing that's lacking within the automotive space.
100%.
In terms of getting it more advanced and getting things out there, the right content. So I think it was really a good fit from that angle. Just also figuring out, if we're doing videos, the amount of time, the amount of capital investment that it takes to create these videos.
Yes.
Usually, it takes quite some time, and people are not really driven to do them all the time and consistently. So this is really
it's a very difficult thing to scale. It's very timely. It can be costly, and creatively sometimes I just don't know what to put out there.
Yeah.
So I think that's really cool. Okay, so for you guys, I'm always kind of curious, like what was kind of that aha moment for you, where it was like, okay, we see this need, and this is how we're going to go solve that. What was the aha moment for you guys?
What I can say is that the group that is comprised of, that this company is comprised of, is really pretty unique. We have a CTO who actually started up his first company with the founder of Spotify.
Okay.
Have our creative director is one of the co-owners of the company, was actually a Hollywood guy. So he's done work with Harry Potter, with The Lord of the Rings, Superman.
So creatively, they've just always kind of been on that forefront.
Yeah.
So they're just, like, what verticals really kind of need that creative space? Automotive. Let's go there, right?
Yep.
Because let's face it, we as an industry, now don't get me wrong, there's some amazing operators out there and marketing people out there that you guys do amazing creative, so keep it up. All right. But we've just kind of always taken the same assets and just kind of like repurposed it in 52 different networks with no real but we were kind of able to get away with that because of some of the old targeting parameters, and a lot of our marketing strategies were so defined on cookies that, hey, we just high frequency of $250 biweekly, and it works. But things have changed. Creative is so insanely important. So let's kind of get into it. What are kind of the 3 or 2 or 3 kind of pillars of the business?
I think one of the key elements is the power of storytelling, which is what I've also come across with some of the guys who are doing presentations in the last days, and saying that it's an art that's kind of died away for some time, and it really needs desperate return back. And that's really one of the key points that we've been focusing on, is how can we improve storytelling, and specifically on the product level. I mean, things have been excelling and doing really well on the brand level and big picture, but how do you go ahead and put it down on the product level? So, for example, our creative director was approached one time and asked, hey, could you actually produce 50,000 unique, product level videos in one shot? And he just make a very, very bold statement and says, yeah, we can do it. And then basically it started from there. So we started building the engine back in 2015, and with the focus on a single vertical, because of the fact that it's so capital intensive to be able to invest in that kind of technology when it's AI driven. So over time, it just improves, because that's just the nature of the technology. So.
Well, and in storytelling, you're right. It has the art of kind of storytelling has been lost. I mean, maybe more at the dealership level, right? You always find the OEMs do a great job of it. So you've always kind of left, you've left the storytelling for a lot of dealerships out there. They've left the storytelling to their manufacturer, but like there are so many studies and so much data out there to say like, no, you need to find the story within that dealership, because look, at the end of the day, we're all consumers. All right, we buy the story, all right, of a product before we actually buy the product. What have been some of the cool examples you've seen how that kind of plays out for you guys?
Yeah, I think it's exactly what you're talking about. I mean, if you can develop that story on the dealer level, and you're really emotionally connecting, at least on the online front. I mean, obviously, nothing beats the fact that the customer arrives at your dealership; they're already physically there, and they're just looking for that right, easy assistance or support to go ahead and purchase their vehicle. But when you're starting this journey online, how could you, make the most effective use of kind of a storytelling journey is through video,
Yes.
And I think that because you have so much real estate within that medium, or if you want to call it rich media, to be able to put whatever kind of features or whatever kind of story you'd like to be able to tell about your dealership, that's all possible within the video segment. So that's,
Well, and in video, here's the funny thing I found fascinating with video, is I've been watching the cost of video real estate, in these ad placements, like Google and Facebook and Instagram and TikTok stuff. Like, here's the thing I'm so fundamentally fascinated with: the cost, like the CPV, the cost per view, almost fundamentally really hasn't moved in like 7 years, which is mind-boggling, because every other marketing medium has, exponentially. I'm okay, maybe I'm dating myself, but I remember running Google AdWords and I'd bid on like the keyword Corvette for like 19 cents a click, so there's just, so I'm curious, with there being so much opportunity there, what is it kind of for, how does that kind of affect the dealership's budget, and what's the opportunity for them in video?
Oh, that's the whole thing. I think in a nutshell, the quickest way to describe it in terms of from a cost perspective, it's basically the price is less than for a cup of coffee for a video to be rendered. So that's more or less what you're talking about. If you're looking at like the full product suite. So if you're discussing the VDP assets and paid ad type of assets go into socials, the full product suite will cost you, let's say the cost of
well, Nick, is this Starbucks coffee or is
exactly.
this McDonald's coffee?
Well, that's what I was going to say. The full product suite, we're going to have to talk about a Starbucks coffee.
Okay, fair enough. But that's amazing. I'm right. To be able to produce stuff at scale, but also produce it properly for each of the networks. I think that's one thing. See, one thing to grab this phone, record something, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it is scaled, sized, and appropriate for every single one of those networks. And you guys do this like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's say that you're making that video and all of a sudden, price changes. What's going to happen? So we collect the feed, and as soon as the data is switched there, it automatically re-renders the video. So it's all completely hands off. You have everything.
So the video is sitting on your guys' server.
Yep.
So instead of I've done a lot of video editing in my life. So I'm thinking of and if anybody out there watching and listening, if you guys have done video editing, what Nick just said that's like a huge thing, because what do I have to do? I have to go grab the raw file again. I got to reopen it up into my editor. I got to go to that specific slide. I got to go to that field. I got to go to that layer. I got to adjust that layer. I got to resave it. I got to re-render it and then re-upload it.
Mm-hmm.
That's not very
It's not really fun.
No, it's not. And depending on your manufacturer, if you're a marketing manager out there, you know exactly which manufacturers I'm talking about. Who will just sometimes randomly change their incentives in the middle of the month.
Uh-huh.
So,
What are you going to do?
Okay, so I produce the video, I put in my incentives, my manufacturer says, oh, let's change this. What's the process? What do I have to do with you guys? Just open it up, change the text, and I'm good to go.
you just change the text, and it's all in the feed, and then within a couple of hours, it just re-renders the new video.
That is too cool.
Completely hands off, fully automated and scalable. I think those are the key ingredients to keep in mind with this solution: automation and scalability.
Now, yeah, we're driving in traffic, guys, but that's okay because we get to talk. And so if you see my hands flying around, I'm in traffic. No matter. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about kind of the scaling side of it, right? From a marketing strategy perspective, one thing I've found that's kind of fundamentally changed over, let's say, the last 5 or 7 years is at the dealership level, we've gotten a lot smarter about targeting specific audiences, and getting way better in understanding that our creative or our marketing messages is not this one size fits all scenario. So like, how does that kind of process work with you guys? I can create kind of multiple audiences. Like, what does that look like?
Yeah, that's exactly it. I mean, we render videos for all the different formats that are available for all the different social channels. So you get a full package of all that content. It's basically thinking of it as like massive amounts of video content, and then go ahead and target your key audiences how you wish and how you plan to do that. That's, at the end of the day, that's how it works.
Now, let's go a little more into kind of the creative side of this, right? Because one thing I've always been fascinated is, for the most part, a lot of dealership ads out there is $250 bi-weekly truck, $199 this, $650 this, right? And here's one thing I found fascinating. I mean, you're in the car business, I'm in the car business. I go to a dinner party and someone finds out I'm in the car business and, like, well, I just bought a vehicle. And I'm like, oh yeah, what'd you buy? Here's the funny thing. I've never heard anybody tell me, well, I bought the $250 bi-weekly truck. I've never had anybody say that, right? They're like, well, I bought the XLT with the tow package and the leather set. I know XLTs don't have leather, never mind. But I'm able to create creative. We're not just talking about payment creative. We're talking about, so walk me through some of the cool creative I can do.
So we have like 10 templates, let's say, as to be able to start with. So it depends on what your needs are, what your wishes are, to be able to create the ad that would basically then be formalized, so you can see the consistency with the ads on your VDP page and to your paid social. So that's the whole thing of having that consistency throughout with all the video assets. So
now, is this just for my new car department, or are there other assets in there I can create for other departments as well?
It's actually specifically for used cars.
For used cars?
Yeah, for used cars, it's pure genius, because you got your entire inventory stock, and we just collect the feed based on the entire inventory, and then we just render videos that are live within your.
And now going back to the storytelling part, right? I mean, used cars. Every used car has a unique story.
There you go.
And so it's like, how do you capture that story and how do you put it out there? And in the past, sure, we did it through photos, right? But video. We were talking about this. Video has what I think I read a stat. It's like 400 times higher probability of retaining the message in a video versus just an image. It gets stored in a different part of our brain.
Yeah.
So I mean, so it's incredibly important to really kind of look at your video strategy, and I'll kind of get into that. What is maybe some of your recommendations for a dealership's video marketing strategy?
Yeah, I think it depends on if you'd like to be able to have your entire inventory stocked with videos at all times. So that's one angle, and then the other one is, are you very active on paid socials? Then we can be able to render video formats that are ideal for any kind of social channel that you'd like to run campaigns on. So it's of course, if you take the full kit and caboodle, that makes the most sense. Just run with the whole the whole thing. I think you can't go wrong with bombarding your target audience with too much content.
True, multi-channel.
Multi-channel,
Yes, use
yeah.
it all. Oh, organic as well?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So I can post this organically. I can push this socially. I can do it through paid ads. And you know what? So give me a list so everyone knows listening. You know all the different networks that I can push content to.
Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. What am I missing here? We're essentially there's no limit. I mean,
Because ultimately, I can create a feed for pretty much anything.
Yeah.
At the end of the day.
Yeah.
What about my website?
For the VDPs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, there we go. Like I got everything connected. So this is a really kind of cool online experience for the shopper. I may have saw an ad on Facebook. I may have then maybe picked up the video on YouTube, but then gone to the website and I'm getting this coherent like marketing message. It's not, you know, one message over here, one message over here, one message over there.
Yep.
You know, it's just this consistency of that same message at a frequency.
Yep. Exactly that.
So let's get into kind of like who's kind of the ideal user for this? Like what does the ideal user look like for this?
I think dealer groups. I think agencies themselves. To be able to use, you know, to make use of the solution.
So is this something my marketing manager would use, or is this something my sales manager would use? Like who would use it?
Marketing manager.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Marketing manager, marketing directors are ideal fit for being able to deploy these assets, and together with their agency, or perhaps the agency can run the whole show on their behalf. That's what I would suggest.
All right. And now, as far as you said, cost, as cheap as
a cup of coffee.
There
I
we
mean,
go.
the best way to relate the cost on a high level. I mean, it's volume based, so it's case by case. But at the end of the day, that's what you're talking about in terms of the cost.
And I'm sure you guys have seen some great success with this. Can maybe you share a couple success stories that you've seen so far?
Yeah, I mean, because it's a very novel type of asset that's out there, to be able to measure it to a very granular level is not entirely possible as yet. We're collecting the numbers as we go along and run more and more pilots. But I'd say like what we've noticed with the Facebook AIA, so the automotive inventory ads, we've run tests there, and you have a CTR increase of between 50 to 75%.
Wow.
So it's tremendous. Yeah, if you combine the static with the video, it's
Well, that's an insanely higher engagement. I
Yeah.
mean, if I can get, look at this. And as a dealer, this is me putting my dealer principal hat on. You know, I have a significant amount of investment into my used car inventory out there. And look, everybody out there that knows who's run a dealership or owns a dealership, you know that ain't floor planned. All right, that is legitly my money sitting out there that needs to get moved. And you know, if I'm not getting engagement on that inventory, then it's not moving. So if you guys at a preliminary level, that's amazing, by the way. You guys are seeing 50-60% increase, all right, in engagement. Engagement ultimately ends up leading into leads. Leads ultimately end up leading into conversations. Conversations ultimately end up leading into a deal.
Yep.
Right? But I can't get into a conversation with someone if they don't engage with it first. So, you know, what an amazing trickle effect of being able to get 50 to 60% increase in engagement, and how that just kind of trickles all the way down.
Yeah, and we were talking about also numbers like 32 seconds actually spent more on the video ads, about 17% increase in lead generation, and then ultimately sales between 3 to 5 days faster. So those are also core numbers that we.
So I say the last one again.
Sales of the cars between 3 to 5 days faster.
Oh, okay. See, yeah, of course. Again, like I was saying, engagement leading to leads, more conversations, things are moving faster, and I mean, right now, who doesn't need inventory moving faster? And by the way, I love the fact that you guys are focusing on that. You're not trying to come out and claim that we're going to make you more money. No. It's still your inventory. You still got to sell the thing, but we can help you get more eyeballs on it, which ultimately helps you move it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Facilitating the process.
Now let's get into where do you kind of see this technology kind of evolving? You know, like it's funny, like AI is here. Like we are in, I'm going to call it my 5th year of, you know, let's call it some real AI. I mean, there were some companies, you know, that are a bit older than that. that kind of had AI in their names, but let's face it, there was really some really good machine learning and some automation and stuff like that, but now we're really beginning to see some real AI solutions. And I saw a stat recently, and I thought it was quite interesting. There's less than 5% of dealerships out there are using any type of AI solution in their dealership. This is a very unique one because it's taking something that would typically take a lot of time and be very difficult to do at scale, and making it happen a lot faster. But I'm just kind of curious, just from your perspective, what do you kind of see as kind of being the future of and how you think AI is going to progress in this particular little niche?
Yeah, and I don't think it's necessary that you have to educate dealers or agencies on the intricacies of how this machine actually works. I mean,
Sure.
let's call it the magic and the fact that it's able to scale and automate the process to such a degree. But I would say that what's also interesting is that we're developing an app, and it's also it's in the pilot phase now.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say if there's trouble with trying to get a photo of a car and you have to kind of move it somewhere else, you can just avoid that entire step, and you can just take the car where it's sitting with the app. And then we already then have all the data that we need, so the photos and then the descriptions as well. So directly from that app, we're able to then render those videos. So it even speeds up the process then further that way, to make it much easier for sales staff.
Oh, that's considerably more convenient that way, right?
Yeah.
So I got to ask you this because I like asking people that are that are relatively new to the industry, they've gotten into the business. All right, so baptism by fire, you're in the auto space. Welcome, by the way.
Thank you.
All right, I will tell you this: it will be in your blood, and good luck trying to get it out, man. Once you're in, you're in. It's kind of that club. I thought I was out like back in 2015 for like 8 weeks in like an episode of Godfather. I got sucked right back in. So I'm curious, new eyes, fresh eyeballs. What have you seen that has surprised you? And what have you seen that goes, oh, that is really cool. I didn't know that. Just kind of curious.
No, I would say it's just very refreshing. You just don't know anything about the industry if you're just if you're on the sidelines or you know very little of it. But when you speak to all the people, like in the last couple of days, and also with the last 2 events that I attended earlier this year, it's just amazing the amount of information that people are just openly willing to share, and the level of excitement that people have. It's the same thing what you're saying. I had a dinner last night with a Canadian that had actually retired from the industry, and he was also sucked back into it, and just with so much zest. And he's talking about the basics of the sales process that should just also be reintroduced back into the dealerships, like just the fundamentals and the way he's speaking about it. That's not even my role per se, but I'm just at the edge of my seat just listening to this because of the amount of energy that people have.
It is a very passionate industry, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, look, I will tell you, this industry is made of 3-letter acronyms and 4-letter words, so get used to that.
Yeah.
All right. But, it's just a cool industry. Like you're getting people from all walks of life. All right. You get people with MBAs and sometimes multiple ones. And then you get some people that never even finished high school and they own 27 dealerships. It is just such a cool business to be in. And I'm glad that you guys have chosen this vertical and that you're in it and you're doing some really, really incredible stuff. And, anything that helps our dealerships become more efficient, are able to do things faster, like can get to the core of telling better stories. Mm-hmm. It just needs to be checked out. I know we're getting towards the tail end of our conversation, but before I let you go, for everybody out there watching and listening right now who would love to maybe connect with you, Nick, and maybe learn a little bit more about the company, what's the best way to do so?
Yeah, I'd say LinkedIn. I'm there like 24 hours a day, so LinkedIn is great, and an email is totally fine as well.
Awesome. Hey, everyone out there watching and listening, we really appreciate your guys' time. You need to connect with Nick. He's just a warm, inviting person, and I know he would love to have a conversation with you. Thank you guys for watching. You have yourself an amazing day. This has been fun, dude. This has been
really nice.
Thanks for tuning in to the Strategy with Jason podcast with your host, Jason Harris. Don't want to miss new content? Be sure to check out the full podcast library at strategywithjason.com to stay in the know. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Happy podcasting.